How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another segment of Interesting Ideas. My name's Austin Hankwitz, and I'm joined again by my friend Chris Summers, the CEO of Unhedged. And in this episode of Interesting Ideas, we're going to be talking about a furniture company called Arhaus. Arhaus. Chris says it better than me. I can never say it correctly.
It's Arhaus.
Arhaus. The ticker, though, is ARHS. Arhaus describes himself as a furniture company that sells heirloom quality artisan-made furniture and decor products. Now you're asking, Austin, how did you find a random furniture company to be talking about on YouTube here? And the answer is Unhedged. First, Chris, talk to me about Arhaus.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm using Unhedged platform for analyzing this stock. And on Unhedged, you can read the IPO prospectus the company filed when they went public and take a bunch of notes on it. Let me just go back to the overview here. You can see that Arhaus is still trading around its IPO price from last week, and it's got about $1.7 billion market cap, $1.7 billion market cap. So I pulled up the prospectus and read up on the company, and then the natural comparison to me is Restoration Hardware, which is also an upscale furniture retailer. And you can see that Restoration Hardware is worth almost 10 times more at $15 billion, $14 billion market cap versus Arhaus at 1.7. So obviously the analysis in my mind of whether or not Arhaus is a great investment focuses on two things. One is, what is their unit count currently and what is their expectation for future unit growth? And then two, what are the sales per store and how does that compare to a Restoration Hardware's average store sales? And all of that information is disclosed in the prospectus. There's a little less disclosure in Restoration Hardware about what portion of their sales come from catalog and e-commerce. But I went through this document and I made a lot of highlights here where they talk about their showrooms, their setup, the growth opportunities. What's interesting, I think, is Arhaus currently has about 78 units, and Restoration Hardware has 104 units, excluding their niche waterworks plumbing product that they have, which contributes a very small portion of the revenue. So if you look at the sales per store, Restoration Hardware is doing about 3.6 times more revenue per location than an Arhaus. Well, that's pretty interesting because obviously if Arhaus has an opportunity to even double the revenues out of a showroom that they have, then you get into something called operating leverage, which operating leverage is something that happens when you get more productivity on the selling side out of whether it's a store or what have you. Mm-hmm. So both Arhaus and Restoration Hardware, they sell furniture. There's a cost of that item of furniture that drives gross profit. The next line item is your selling general and administrative expenses. I'll go back into the Unhedged document here and we'll look at these. They talk about their gross margins, their net income, the adjusted EBITDA. On its current numbers, the stock is, arguably somewhat cheap. They did $70 million of EBITDA in 2020. You can see here adjusted EBITDA. So it's trading at about 20 times that, which if it has growth opportunities is not unreasonable in this market environment. But coming back to the operating leverage, so both of these companies have the selling general and administrative expense. That includes all the people necessary to run the showrooms. It includes the corporate office, and it'll include some of the logistics, although sometimes some of that gets allocated to cost of sales because it's the cost of doing business to bring in furniture from all over the place. In the case of Arhaus here, they have gross margins that are not terribly dissimilar than Restoration Hardware. Restoration Hardware is in the high 40s and Arhaus is in the low 40s. But Arhaus only has an operating margin of 5 to 6%, whereas Restoration Hardware is running in the mid 20s. That difference is the overhead absorption of the selling general and administrative expenses. So to me, the real challenge here for Arhaus to make this exciting, because if they can do what Restoration Hardware did, the company can be worth almost 10 times more. But the question is, how are they going to get sales per store higher? Can that be driven by e-commerce, where you're relying less on physical presence? Or do they need to improve the concept? What's driving it? Sentiment that I've gathered in social media around both brands and products is they're both pretty high quality. Some people think Arhaus is higher quality. Some people think Restoration Hardware is higher quality. And they seem to be fairly similarly priced. Some people think Restoration Hardware is more expensive, and some people think Arhaus is more expensive. So to me, they're in a very similar game, but Restoration Hardware is just currently winning, and they're more efficient, and they're more optimized to maximize revenue than Arhaus currently is.
That makes total sense. And so just so we're on the same page, Chris, they're both furniture companies selling furniture. I'd argue at similar margins, right? I mean, it's furniture, but what sort of has given Restoration Hardware this edge is the fact that they're able to sell more furniture per store that they own. I think you said is 104, which then, helps them with that operating leverage. Is that correct?
Exactly right. They're just dramatically more productive for what they've got going than Arhaus has been. And, correcting that can be a matter of marketing. It might mean you need to bring in new people on the senior level, not dissimilar to what Target's done over the last 5 years. If you followed Target at all, Target brought in a new CEO in, I don't remember, 17 or 18, and then he brought in new merchandising people, and they really turned the ship around there, and Target has been a dramatically successful thing. When you're in retail, it's all about the merchandising and the marketing and getting the product into the hands of consumers and getting consumers excited about your products.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'll be keeping my eye on this one for sure.
Awesome. And if you guys like analyzing stocks, please feel free to sign up to Unhedged. It's free to do so. Just go to unhedged.com and click the login sign up button. There you go. You've got access to real-time market data, all company filings, transcripts, etc. I use it for my research and find it very helpful.
Thanks.
Awesome.
Thanks everyone.
Austin. Thanks. Bye.